I'm going to check in with chat because I've been so focused on the game. Jacob, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good. This non-branded whiskey drink is really good. I really like, I saw a comment about Back to the Future earlier that said, could you really connect the camcorder to the TV? Even if Doc could just figure it out and tinker with it, is it even possible in the first place? I love that, especially because, I mean, that's how he got started doing videos in the first place. It's, again, teaching rocks math and we can transmit images is incredible.
Oh yeah, that is something we touched upon in the now lost episode. All right, I just want to note really quick, I'm in a hub world. This is kind of the platformer arrangement structure of the game. You go to different, I'm in like Graveyard Land right now. It's Super Mario Bros. 3. We're still playing Super Mario Bros. 3 on the PS2 in 2001. Super Mario Bros. 3, I believe, was
It's Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a little land with trees.
Yeah, it's a little Tim Burton. I just do want to shout out to Capcom, though. I brought this up in the Mega Man episode. I played Mega Man Legends for the 0th episode kind of test LP. I played Mega Man X for the first episode. We're now playing MAXIMO. I'm definitely going to be playing more Capcom stuff as we go. There's just some consistent house-style stuff I like to note in their games. This was a very early PS2 game, and yeah, look how like cartoonishly legible most of it is. There's like a nice sense of attitude.
I'm X1. I loved the bit in fairy stories where he depicts escapism as the escape of a prisoner. This story was liberative for him.
Yes.
Yeah, and that Moonlight is also very sick feeling, man. You ain't wrong. Also, when did this game come out?
2001?
My God.
Early emotion engine. Yeah, look at these fog effects. I do like the moodiness of it. It's a fun, cartoonish...
Yeah.
Again, more Tim Burton monster mashy.
Feels kind of Crash Bandicoot. I like that.
Oh yeah, extremely of that time.
I've run this from Blockbuster anytime. Like, without a doubt.
Secret switch. And I can...
Let's put a battery on that guy. You have so many screens in front of us, it's great. My childhood dream.
Yeah, once again, if you're just joining us, we are TechnoPoverty. I'm Henry.
I'm Jacob.
And we're playing MAXIMO, Ghost to Glory, for the PS2. In doing so, we're also talking about J.R.R. Tolkien's On Fairy Stories. I want to talk a bit about Philip K. Dick's Book of the New Sun. I mean, Gene Wolfe did Book of the New Sun. Philip K. Dick did 2 stories about ghosts I really love. One's called Ubik, and the other is 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. They are science fiction stories, but they are very interested in the spiritual. And the point of Ubik is that we are guided by ghosts in a way, due to a convoluted plot of sci-fi mystery and adventure that is, I would describe it as anime-esque. A lot of when I read Philip K. Dick, I'm like, oh, this feels like a cyberpunk manga or anime I'd watch in the 1990s. Ubik and 3 Stigmata are probably the 2 big ones in that case, because they deal a lot with like psychics and like psychic warfare and like corporate espionage and counterplays. Basically, the protagonist of Ubik gets knocked out of time, I think from like the year, it might be literally like 1999 in the book, but because the book came out in the 60s, it's like the future. Anyways, the guy gets knocked out of time and he lands in the 1930s and he gets a sense of how just radically different. Sure, the people, like in a biological sense, he probably could live there, but like the culture and just the mimetics and just the ideas that people have are so radically different. Think about if someone today were to go back to the year 1990, you know, right before the internet. Like, sure, they might be like, oh, I'm going to gamble on the stock market and feel great. But, I mean, culturally, they might just feel completely out of it. I mean, before cell phones and GPS, I guess a better comparison would be like now in like the 1950s.
I like how I have more tech than I could ever imagine as a child and yet less money than I could have imagined. Man, I feel you. I have so many VR headsets and yet so much debt. It's beautiful.
That is the techno-poverty promise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? Burritos come in payment plans now. Good luck with the healthcare, but...
Yeah, who's going to find us a burrito from Chipotle? I know I certainly will. But I'm like, but maybe I'll do a quesadilla, because honestly, like, their quesadillas aren't too bad.
What's the interest on that loan, buddy? Like...
Ooh, yeah.
And there's a death coin right there. As you can see, I have golden armor right now. When you have like max health and you pick up more health, you get a temporary like Super Mario Star moment. Mm-hmm. Again, we're playing Mario 3, just in 3D.
It's great.
Gothic Crash Bandicoot.
I love the fire, like the flame trails are coming up through there.
Yeah, the fire sword.
Yeah, the sprites and stuff. It just looks really cool.
So as you can see, I kind of just broke into this level from the hub world. It's a pretty basic order of operations. You go to each hub world, you do all the levels, you fight the boss, you go to the next area. Whoa, the floor is falling. This was, for its time, considered kind of a throwback, too, as far as being like old school difficulty and such, although I find it quite quaint now. Again, I don't think video games are hard. You just have to know their rhythms and listen to them. They can be bad. You can have a video game that has horrible, horrible communication skills and is just not telling you what it wants out of you.
Like my ex-wife, am I right, fellas?
Oh my god, yuck, 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 yuck. That's why I play these games, am I right? I need the escapism. Circle back around, again, the damsel, that is a feature of this game, and, you know, those 80s games, not something you see much in Tolkien or Dunsany. Let's talk about Sacnoth for a bit. It's the story I recommended, and I've talked very little about it right now.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that one.
So there's a wizard, and his name is Grasnock, and he lives on a comet, and every 130 years, I believe it is, 230 maybe, he just comes back. The comet just circles back around, and Grasnock's so powerfully evil that like he infects your dreams, Freddy Krueger style, with visions of hell, and you just can't take any of it. And it's just very annoying to have this old man infecting your dreams. You know, it's something about this wizard just coming around and demanding everybody get with the program and be on his mental wavelength. It's not good for the local economy. And the people don't know what to do about this wizard.
I certainly wouldn't know what to do.
Mario's out of town. His friend Luigi his brother Luigi can't be found. How are they going to get rid of this wizard?
What book is this again?
The Fotress Unvanquishable, Save for Sacnoth by Lord Dunsany. It is, you can find a free copy up on Wikisource. It's old enough to be in the public domain.
Nice.
I have a copy in this collected edition of Dunsany stories I've been showing on screen. So you have an evil comet-riding warlock, and he rides around on his comet. He has a fortress, the Fortress Unvanquishable. It's the titular fortress. Save for Sacnoth. And Sacnoth, according to a local magic man, shaman, like village leader, is the only thing that can stop Grasnock. But the bad thing is Sacnoth is it's in the spine of a dragon. Sacnoth is a sword. It's a piece of steel more than a sword. I like to think of it as like maybe a meteorite shard or something that like crash landed and like the dragon cultivated around it over time because it had like weird space radiation. You can read some of that into the story.
What? That's cool.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a dragon thrashing about, and it has a sword in its back.
As they do.
And so the prince of the village, who's his name's like Leothnic, I believe, or Leonthric. It's very Dark Souls-esque. I want to almost say Lothric because like in Dark Souls 3, there's Prince Lothric.
Yeah.
Dunsany is so Dark Souls. If you love Dark Souls, if you love Shadow of the Colossus, Dunsany is way more in that tone than this is very Tim Burton-esque what we're playing right here. Complete cartoon stuff compared to like what Dunsany's writing. He will make you feel this ridiculous wizard story in a way that, I mean, it sounds comedic right now, but it feels like a Castlevania game. Anyways, so the prince is like, well, I guess I gotta go get the sword out of the dragon. and stop this evil wizard because everybody's just having nightmares, and like if you can't go to sleep, you get insomnia and you go crazy, and then you pill your eyes out, and it's just that's not good for the economy.
Yeah, no, we need those eyes.
You just have this loud old wizard like infecting everyone with his bad ideas. You got to stop him. So sometimes that means you gotta go slay that dragon. And so the prince goes.
Am I right, fellas?
He goes. Yeah, this is very Jordan Petersonian, isn't it? Like you must slay the dragon.
I'm gonna save him.
He lives in a Tesla factory. Anyways. Lothric goes and finds the dragon in a forest and does this whole extended 3 days and 3 nights, very Gilgamesh and Akindu kind of, Old Testament wrestling with God for multiple days and nights thing with the dragon, where he eventually starves it because, the dragon's got like super scales and like all the resistances. It's a super high level thing, but it can starve to death. So, You're just supposed to build up your endurance and run away from it and keep circling it until it starves and don't let it go back and feed on people. At one point it tries to like eat a frog and he snatches the frog from its mouth. And eventually the dragon starves to death. They melt the dragon's body down and they get Sacnoth. And then this dude goes on an assault on this sky fortress, and it is just scene after scene of him approaching. He approaches the fortress from afar. He like climbs a mountain, gets up to it, and also the dragon's eye is in the hilt of the sword. They attach the eye so that it's always looking behind him, so they never get surprised. So he even has a third-person camera like what MAXIMO here has with me, the player, guiding him. Anyways,
that's wild.
It's just a series of Leonthic going through this fortress, going up to various baddies and being like, I'm here to slay Grasnak. And they're all like, no one can slay Grasnak save for Sacnoth. And he's like, well, I'm here with Sacnoth. And they make the Pikachu face, they freak out. He uses the sword to just deliver justice. It sounds redundant, but the variety of weird fantastical imagery paraded through the story just always keeps you enthralled. There's a very hilarious bit where he goes to he comes across this banquet hall in the fortress, and there's a bunch of rich oligarchs just having a party. They don't even really care that he's there. No one seems to notice. They're all having dinner, and there's a huge line of guards. It's very Alice in Wonderland-esque, where they're just comedically rows of guards guarding this table, and one of the guards asks him who he is, and he says who he is, and he asks Sacnoth, and it goes all the way up the chain of command, comes all the way back, and they're like, oh, well, stop him, and it goes all the way up the chain of command, all the way back, and they're like, we're here to stop you, and he's like, well, I have the sword, and then pair by pair, each guard's like, he has the sword, they run, he has the sword, they run. It's just very funny the way they flee. But also just speaking to the way there's this kind of comfort class within the clutches of the wizard who can party all they want, and I mean they don't even care if their buddy dies because he's just doing for them what's profitable.
Aren't we all?
Interesting note on the whole damsel thing I keep harping at. There are damsels that are offered to our hero in the Fortress Unvanquishable, but they are temptations and they are hollow and they're illusions. They're like Stepford wives. A constructed version of femininity sold to a warrior man to hopefully deter him from actually slaying the wizard.
Oh, nice. Trying to placate you for a little bit.
Right. Oh no, as you can see, I've been turned to a baby by this wizard.
What?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it's a... Ah, shit. Okay, yeah, I was about to say, it's for a period of time.
What if... I love the animation for that baby. I think we need more of that.
It is a punishment for getting hit, and it might be frustrating if you think video games are hard, but I think it's quite funny and fun. There's that give and take.
This fucking loser showing his little skulls.
I think there's a way to destroy these towers. I do not recall, though.
Not this guy. Yeah. You don't get him either.
Yeah, skeletons ain't no thing.
Yeah. That's why they call it economy. Like that.
Jakob, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I believe in something. Believe in energy after.
some sort of thing. Oh, there I am, stripped down to my himbo shorts, right when I'm asking the most poignant question of the episode.
Burying yourself, my God.
Should we explore the spiritual or the stoner-esque in rambling about ghosts, or should we just look at this hunk of man?
I mean, listen, we already know half the answer. We're right there. And he's got the classic heart boxers. Remember that was just like the big thing?
No, I do not. That sounds very cartoonish and like only in 50s like nostalgia comics.
Exactly, like the beautiful thing of like old Looney Tunes cartoons, you know, anyone has their face down, it's always the like white with hearts. You can bounce the skulls back the towers with your shield, maybe? Or can you?
I think you can at least block them. I have been very bad about using my shield, which, my bad, because shields are useful. Video games often give you a lot of good defensive tools, and I find a lot of the times in quote-unquote hard video games, it's just a matter of like not understanding you're able to use these defensive aspects of the armory.
I feel like how you're not using your character's left hand is how I don't use my left hand in most everyday things.
You're not ambidextrous?
Not really. I mean, well, you know, certain casts, but not typically.
Gotcha.
You know? Like, it's there for show. I'm fully complete. I have the left and right hand. Consciousness shapes reality rather than reality shaping consciousness. Basically meaning we have always and will always exist in some form.
What a perfect way to bounce back to both Ubik and the 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. So yeah, in Ubik there's a recognition eventually by the protagonist that we are guided by ghosts, that there's mimetics and ideas beyond just like the flesh and our DNA that we, you know, reproduce with. This is all something Metal Gear Solid 2 looks into. I would love to play that down the line for the stream. It has a lot to say about postmodernism that I think it's misconstrued. But yeah, off of that, and going off of what 3256 is saying, the 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is about a man who finds a way to make himself everywhere. He can invade people's minds. His name is Palmer Eldritch. He's a rich philanthropist, tech bro dude within the narrative of the story who shot himself outside of the universe at the start, and not at the start of the story, prior to the story. At the start of the story, his ship is discovered. Everybody thought he was dead, and there's a race to recover his ship and see if his body's on board. Yeah, there's several protagonists in 3 Sigma of Palmer Eldritch. One of them is Leo. I can't recall Leo's last name right now, but he's basically a competing businessman who needs to figure out what he's doing with his business, and he's paranoid.
What, coins? Sorry.
No, Leo got betrayed, or betrayed his current boss, and so he goes to Palmer Eldritch hoping to maybe get a new job. Okay, there's a lot of Palmer Eldritch protagonists. I'm now thinking there's like actually 2 businessmen. There's like one dude who gets exiled to Mars. There's one dude who's like a conniving, like anything at all costs, like I'm staying on Earth. There's Eldritch himself, who's a character. There's plenty of colonists on Mars because 3 Sigma Palmer Eldritch is about Mars colonization. It sucks, plot twist, because of global warming in the far future, they have to ship people off planet. So they force them onto Mars colonies. On those Mars colonies, people just kind of harvest moisture. They they operate these very boring moisture farms, and they spend most of the days just doing drugs and having sex because they're bored and purposeless, and they're kind of just shipped off planet because Earth is overheating.
It's like living in the country.
Yeah. Anyways, across this set of characters, Eldritch reasserts himself in Earth culture. They get to his ship, they don't find his body, and suddenly everybody who kind of comes in contact with the ship starts seeing Eldritch in their dreams. He's in everybody's head. He has a new drug to offer to people, and when they take it, you let Eldritch into your mind. And it's sort of a story about, like, to what extent do you own yourself, or, like, you know, through your consumption, like, who owns you, or what parts, you know.
So neural implant?
I mean, there's microplastics in us all right now, right? I remember that being kind of big in the news.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something to that, to the way Palmer Eldritch transcends the physical by manifesting as a drug and a mimetic idea. He starts hopping around and intimidating people, and it becomes very melancholy. It's a horror story, but it's not like a slasher, and it's also just... It's Philip K. Dick's most evil story, is the way I'll posit it. Like, Palmer Eldritch, in a lot of ways, is kind of Philip K. Dick's analog for Satan. Philip K. Dick, of course, being big on, like, acidic kind of sci-fi realism to these, like, spiritual concepts. The man wrote his own Bible, basically, in Valis. He also believed the Roman Empire never died and that we were living in a hologram.
That's cool.
That's extremely cool. God, there's ghosts just eating my fairies.
Fucking Casper's uncles just ripping. Speaking of shifted off planet, I saw Mickey 17 and it's good, I recommend. Okay, good to know, 3256. I've been meaning to. There's been a bunch of stuff I've been meaning to see, but that one really...
Mickey 17 and the Monkey are two on my radar where I know they're out, I just need to do my duty and indulge the art.
And we got the biggest screen in Texas down here. And it'd be great to see that in IMAX.
Yeah. TechnoPoverty is a pair of interdimensional refugees operating out of Austin, Texas. Although we are a work of parody, that does not mean we are being disingenuous or insincere when we talk with y'all. There's just certain things we can't tell you at this time without the bigwigs getting mad.
Yeah.
But thank you all for being here. This has been MAXIMO Goes to Glory. We are currently working our way through the first world, talking Philip K. Dick, talking ghosts, and I sort of hijacked the conversation there, but yeah, Jakob, ghosts. You said you believe in something?
Yeah, I definitely believe in some weird spirits. I'm trying to think if I've ever had, because I grew up in rural New Hampshire, which is, the joke is you can throw a rock and you'll hit a headstone. So there's definitely the vibes of death all around you because you're just always used to seeing headstones, graveyards, all of that.
Something I've noticed in traveling across the country is more in the the Northeast and kind of Rust Belt areas is there's just cemeteries. You'll just be going along a country road or something, or even a small little, assembly of houses, and you'll just see cemeteries on the side of the road in ways where I don't know, I feel I'm more of the Southwest in the West, and it seems like there's more kind of it's that whole thing that as you go more westward, cities were more planned with automobiles and stuff in mind, less horse and buggy stuff from the colonial holdover era and such. But there's just more cemeteries, it feels, around the Northeast. I get why Stephen King is the way he is.
Oh, literally. We had, so two things. One is that you will just come across, last time I went to New Hampshire was last year. I was just walking in the woods and just stumbled upon a small private cemetery from the 1700s and just a wooded trail. There was no marking before it, and they're just out in the woods kind of everywhere. But the house that I used to live in and grew up in and kind of consider my main home, we had two bodies from around the time of the Revolutionary War buried in the front yard. And we had 5 bodies buried in the backyard on a hill. And the only reason we knew this was because, New Hampshire, the granite state, there's a bunch of granite rocks. So there's, as a way to, delineate property, they would put rocks, the granite stones, and separate them by making stone walls. And they made headstones out of them, and chiseled headstones. And I don't know if you guys did this because you didn't have a lot of headstones, but in New Hampshire, when you were in grade school and younger, you would go to the cemetery and find the oldest headstones that were kind of hard to read, put a big piece of paper, and then use some chalk to outline everything, and you could read it a lot better.
Huh.
And it's, I don't know, man, death is just sort of very much a very average part of life everywhere you go, because there's always a cemetery. Every town has a town common, a cemetery, and a church.
If you,
a general store.
Yeah, if you enjoy the vibes of MAXIMO, or even PS2 era kind of goth rock action horror, something like Devil May Cry, for instance, comes to mind. Just talking about cemeteries made me think of the movie Cemetery Man, the Italian 90s. It's an action movie. It's a horror movie. It's kind of it's above all a satire about a man who must keep a cemetery, and the cemetery is magical. People who are buried there come back to life. He has to be kind of a custodian to the dead. It's kind of a metaphor for keeping a society's secrets buried, and kind of there's some ideas on like an undergirding and bubbling fascism that's nascent in the plot of the movie.
I think it's streaming on Shudder right now too.
It may be on Shudder right now.
It's Shudder. If you haven't seen Cemetery Man, it is a really good one. Let's see, 3256. I used to live in Long Beach, California, and there were potholes in the street where you could see the brick road underneath. That's really cool.
Whoa, that's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear about these layers of like detritus and just like societies on top of societies. To go back to the whole Ubik conceit of, we are guided by ghosts. Like, we really are a continuity of not just, our families, but our societies and our cultures.
Just think if you peeled off all the paint on the electrical sockets that your landlords have painted over years and years, and the beauty that you'll find underneath it, like... They're cathedrals with those with eyes to see. And ever listen to Aesop Rock's Spirit World Field Guide album? It has a lot to do with some of this stuff. No, I have not.
I actually have not.
That sounds real fun.
That's a great reference. Who mentioned that?
iManX1.
Nice. We'll have to make note of that for the Discord.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
If we are currently trying to get a sort of Discord theater together, if you're interested in something like that, check out our link tree. Head on over to the Ko-fi or the Patreon if you want more details. I'd love to screen Cemetery Man. I'd love to screen a movie called Alphaville that kept coming to mind as we were playing Mega Man X and talking about Isaac Asimov.
Oh, yeah.
Currently, with the Discord, it's sort of irregular, but I plan on, as I watch like a series or an anime, or if I have a movie on for the afternoon, I can pipe it through there as well. Getting some power-ups.
Man, I was trying to think of... Have you seen... I forget the name of the short film. The short film that inspired 12 Monkeys. That's like all photographs.
Yes.
That kind of thing?
It's Not Without Sun. Sans Soleil, La Jetée.
Yes, yeah.
I have we have that in the studio. We have a physical copy of it. It's the Criterion Collection released a copy of it. Did you ever see that dude's feature?
No.
Okay, he did a feature called Sans Soleil, and it's a visual montage. Literally like in the 70s, kind of ahead of its time, just a series of B-roll images and travelogue thoughts and letters being read aloud. So it's just like narration and imagery.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
I was trying to
Sans Soleil and La Jetée. But yeah, I would love to screen La Jetée because that one's only like 20 minutes long. Maybe if it's in public domain, we can throw it on stream someday.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Because I was trying to think, it reminded me there was another movie that had like a similar concept, but it had Brendan Fraser from like the mid-2000s, and where he was like a bodyguard who kept like he could tell the future.
Like, this is a real movie?
Yeah, a real movie. He could like genuinely like he was a bodyguard for somebody and could like tell the future, so he always knew what was going to happen. And then one day while he's on guard, something changes and he can't tell the future. And it's his first time in his life. He's like, wait a second, no.
So it's like a reverse Dead Zone situation.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was fascinating. And also it was like, and it was weird because like Brendan Fraser has only really recently more come back into the fight. So like having something back from like, I want to say...
What has he been up to since The Whale? I've honestly not been tracking.
Man, he's probably shooting stuff, honestly. I forget, but...
Isn't he in some Western...
He was in that DC show where he plays the robot, the mechanical boy. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Was it Doom Patrol? Was he in Doom Patrol?
That sounds right. That sounds like Doom Patrol. Also, my Long Beach apartment building still had those clawfoot bathtubs, and I'm pretty sure a Clue-style bloodstain in the center of the room. Man, California housing is so cool. I went out to Sacramento last year and had to stay there for a while. It was a really fun time. And the housing was just like really cool, old, like early 19th century stuff. And
Tailboy's asking you to think of the air that you breathe.
Oh, yes, that is the movie.
Thank you, Tailboy.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to Tailboy. We want you on the
Was
show.
Sarah Michelle Gellar also in that movie? Because for some reason I'm tying those two people, but yeah, you absolutely are the best. It was great. But yeah, but a similar thing, I was just like 12 Monkeys in that movie, and then just, I've had that in the back of my head. I think I saw it in college, maybe. I don't. It was a very long time ago at this point, but it was a great time.
Brendan Fraser, he is everywhere.
I know, dude. Loved him in George of the Jungle. Loved him in all of the Mummy movies.
Yeah, I see a lot of that one bumper sticker. I'd rather be watching The Mummy. It's,
Yeah,
I mean, I get
and
the
I get
internet
it too.
memetics of it, and like, I think it's kind of circled around for me, where it's like, okay, guys, the joke's over. But now that I see it, and it's just kind of like, it's like an endearing kind of like, I don't know. It seems like a millennial boomerism thing. We all love The Mummy in a cozy, generational way.
Dude, it woke up a lot of people's bisexuality, from my understanding of the internet.
So I understand
Like,
from the memes,
and I get it. I mean, like,
which is all we have right now.
yeah. Bowie's very good. He was very good in Killers of the Flower Moon,
Yes.
which it's still dumb that they haven't released that in America on physical disc, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, Brendan Fraser, we love him. Encino Man, great time. God.
Yep, just scavenging this graveyard.
Love this graveyard design too, real creepy. Avowed.
Oh, are the Pixel Goblins playing Avowed? Is that what's going on?
Hey man, shout out to those Pixel Goblins that you guys.
Yeah.
You should definitely follow them on.
If
Instagram.
you're
They're real
familiar
fun.
with me from some other places on YouTube, you may want to check out the Pixel Goblins. There's some other familiar faces over there. Is it? Oh no, they said Avowed. I was about to ask what game they're playing. I've been very, very much enjoying their Skies of Arcadia playthrough.
Jumping in boxes, so fucking fun time. The yuckiest guy in game, good lord. Of course you would. I'll have to check out the PlayStation 2 Evil Dead games. I am not familiar with those. I'm only
aware of there
newest
being a
one.
Dreamcast one, so.
God. We need to get a Dreamcast.
I mean, we have the means of playing Dreamcast games.
I mean, absolutely, but like physically, we just gotta have the. I just want to see.
It's a very loud console. I had one in an endearing way. It has like an engine. It revs.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle car almost.
the thing whirring up like it's thinking.
I had to like recalibrate the laser because I had mentioned this in a previous stream. I was a latecomer to the Dreamcast. I got one from like a Game Crazy in like 2005 for $25.
Dude, what
It
a
was like
deal.
the perfect time to like get just like a cheap console. And like, I don't know, I guess, there's a high amount by that point of people just flipping it for PS2 and Xbox games. Halo was the big craze. People wanted an online console with like a shooter game. So there's just a plethora of Dreamcast riches to grab.
Damn, man.
Shoutouts to Mockin' X, one of the weirder ones I remember, a first-person sword fighter with interesting mechanics. It was also published by Atlas, so I don't know if it's in continuity with like Shin Megami Tensei stuff, but I think there's references.
There's references in there.
There's always references.
The heart boxers. Oh yeah, Tailboy. If you schedule it out for us, and I can bring the Dreamcast setup over. Ooh,
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah, right now as far as the Dreamcast goes, I have Sword of the Berserk, Guts Rage. I have the retranslated version that fans made. Oh my god, because the skeleton fell, I think I can't exit this level properly.
Oh, they just let you die inside of this level?
No, there we go.